All right, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Allison, and we'll get started tonight with our FreeFall talk. So just to help arrive here this evening, or whenever you happen to be listening to this recording, let's connect to our bodies by means of breathing. So taking some slow, deep inhales and exhales. See if you can use every breath as an opportunity to release and let go of the day's tensions and worries. And every breath, feel yourself settling even deeper into the cushion below you. Good. So let's begin. And tonight we're going to be talking about a few different things. So I'd like to start by first telling you my story and my background and how it is I came to be doing what it is I'm doing. And my story begins, well, probably way back when those two little sperm and egg cells meet in the middle of the night, but we'll fast forward a little bit, we'll jump right into present time or closer to. But actually, in all seriousness, I do remember a lot in those early days feeling like there was this general spark of life that was within me. And I could really connect to that pulse inside of me. When I was really quiet, when I was reading my book, when I was watching a movie, when I was talking with people I was really comfortable with, I could begin to feel this really pulse sensation that was deep within me, and I had no idea what that meant or what it was really about. No one else really talked about it, so I wasn't sure I should either, so I didn't. And it was probably my only thing that really continued to keep me alive as I grew. I had a very demanding schedule, and I pushed myself very hard. So in and amongst going to school full-time and working full-time, I had to find a way to balance. So it wasn't uncommon for me to work 40 hours, 30 hours a week and still do a full class load in pre-med and do 4 hours of sleep a night for sometimes weeks on end. So again, the only time that I really had to reconnect, regenerate, recuperate was connecting to that still point inside of me. So that pulse is what I really began to see now as that spark of life. And now that I can see what that is consciously within me through experiencing FreeFall, I'm able to draw on it in a way that served me even more powerfully and deeper. And thank goodness, because life certainly didn't get any easier after those days. I very soon thereafter came down with a form of cancer called Hodgkin's disease, and I went through some chemotherapy and radiation and still is in medical school now full time. And I didn't take any time off. So it was a very interesting time in which I had to learn self and self-healing. So my journey really began to consciously seek some answers then. It wasn't long after that I fell in love with the BodyTalk system and decided this is what I would do and this is what I would teach. And of course, anyone who has heard the founder of BodyTalk speak, Dr. John Veltheim, knows that he has a strong passion for the foundation upon which BodyTalk was built, the life sciences, not the least of which is FreeFall. So I kept hearing about this course and I knew I needed to take it, so off I went and I signed up for it. It actually quite surprised me because the only thing I had really heard about FreeFall was that it was a class that you had to undress, that you had to get naked in, and that scared me a lot. Now, I'm sure like many of you have also had those fears of that idea possibly of even undressing or being seen nude or naked by, heaven forbid, members of your same sex or even worse, opposite gender. So there was a lot that I had to look at there, and the only real reason I felt that pulse to go take that course was I was actually getting a session from John who treated my side effects from chemotherapy. And it was a very powerful session. I bawled all the way through it. I got up off the table, made my way over to Christy Kenny, who was training to teach FreeFall at the time, and asked, "Do you have any spots left?" She said, "I have one spot left." So I said, "Okay, go for it. Put my name down. Let's do this." And then I spent the next 6 months going, "Oh my goodness, what did I just do? This is craziness. Now I have to get naked in front of a group of people." And I just quietly sat with all my fears and listened to them and gave them the same attention that I would any other person wanting attention. So that was an interesting 6 months. The course arrived, and needless to say, I got incredibly lost trying to arrive at the location in Calgary, and I was over 20 minutes late getting in. And I was quite afraid of this because I knew that Dr. John Beltime's biggest button was people being late. And I was still trying to impress him because I really wanted to become a BodyTalk instructor. So I was being on my very bestest of behavior, and it wasn't working out very well for me. So I was incredibly nervous when I walked in. I was even more nervous for thinking how late I was. So I decided that I would just do my best to get through this course. I wouldn't make eye contact. I would just, jump and do whatever I needed to through all those hoops. So of course, that's the exact opposite of what FreeFall requires of us, which is that we do vulnerably connect, which is that we do vulnerably open up, that we take a risk to connect in a way that we never have before, not just with ourselves, but with our entire world and our environment. So it was during my personal assessment exercise, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, when my name got pulled. I was sweating buckets, and I literally do mean buckets. In fact, I looked down at my feet and said, "Oh my gosh," and there was about an actual scientific 1 cup measurement of fluid that had been dribbling down me in rivets, well, running down me in streams is more like it, and it was obvious that there was this massive detoxification happening. And I remember John and Christy saying, "Don't worry, you haven't pissed yourself." To my absolute horror in front of the class. I was sitting there going, "Oh my god, I can't believe I peed my pants here." But after the reassurance that indeed that had not occurred, I went on. And in FreeFall, we really take a good hard look at what's happening inside of our own selves, our bodies, our physical, our mental, emotional, spiritual selves. So we look primarily at the holding centers of the pelvis and the heart. So it was within this heart center that I was most drawn to look at and work with. And there was these layers and layers of cement was the imagery that I saw, containing my heart. Now, this is pretty significant given that I had an asthma history of 25 plus years. And it wasn't very well controlled. So I was taking my asthma inhaler anywhere from 6 to 10 times a day. Not good. And off I decided to jackhammer the cement. So this jackhammer starts going, and I use my mental imagery, and I use my tools in FreeFall, which is our breathing, our movement, and our sound. And lo and behold, to my surprise, I started to cough uncontrollably. And Christy reassured me. She said, "Nope, that's just the cement dust that you're choking on." And I thought, what on earth do you mean? How could I possibly be physically reacting to something that's not physical? And then in that moment, it clicked. It was perhaps my most obvious, most memorable for sure experience of how my physical body and my energy body were not separate, that they were indeed one and the same. So that experience spoke volumes. It was undeniable, and I needed to learn more about how this works. Plus, I was head over heels in love with the absolute freedom I had found. I went off to do FreeFall again 6 months later with Christy, and she was teaching it, and pulled my name, same thing. Get called up there, I am massively sweating, I'm detoxing quickly again, and again I'm drawn to my heart. This time there's different imagery. What I remember most after that particular FreeFall was leaving the next day and not needing to use my asthma inhaler. So I had gone from using it 6 to 10 times a day to not needing it. The next day after that, I didn't need it again. I didn't use it until 6 months later when I came down with double pneumonia. So that was a pretty substantial physical shift. Even though not much seemed to change in my physical body, I still mostly looked the same. But this energy body had completely transpired. By spending a little bit of time with me and cultivating this relationship of intimacy, I began to see really what was holding back my breathing and what was holding back me. And that was far more than just my physical body. What perhaps I noticed even more strongly was how my social relationships changed. Something as simple as being able to make eye contact with the cashier or the person walking down the street, to give a little friendly wave or a smile, would have horrified me before. This was the girl who had gone her entire grade 10 year without saying boo to one single other person in the school environment. So this is a pretty significant change. There was a lot of shell to come out of, and out I sure did. So that definitely helped every single relationship that I had, from cultivating deeper, more meaningful friendships with my girlfriends to my romantic relationships and everything in between. So there is this shift that happened on all levels that I needed to understand a little bit more about. So every chance I got, took a FreeFall seminar, and I was bitten by this bug in a way that was not to be stopped. So it was no holds barred, of course, when FreeFall instructor training opened up, and I was thrilled to be able to graduate in record time in a few months, and even more ecstatic to be offering these seminars now.